They're not enacting any
This is the largest Dr. Pepper. I'm impressed.
It really is.
Thanks,
Larry. But
I really didn't know they, did they have 4 weeks?
good to see you, Mr. Holmes. I've never seen like
I'm really
the
impressed.
can size though. I've seen just the minis, like the babies.
It's a tall
That's
boy.
convenient though, 'cause I prefer a can over a bottle.
I was trying to think of something funny to say about their can size.
Craig's like, I didn't want this. I didn't want any attention. I'm so sorry, Craig.
It's like the Shack Tract.
So sorry.
He's gonna hate us all. Is your dad live saving? Mine keeps like
Okay, let's call the meeting to order. This is the meeting of Bella Vista City Council work session for April 21, 2025. First item on the agenda is review of the minutes. Anybody have any comments on that? Okay. I will just briefly mention about the financials. We did get the financials for the period ending January 31. And we have a cautionary note. The Director of Finance and I talked about this because it's only 1 month, but the city sales tax was up 18.8% and the county sales tax was up 7.7%. Overall revenue was up 7%. And the expenses were 11.6% less than last year. So we're off to a good start. But it would take a number of months to have a feeling about that, a better feeling about that. Kim, I didn't know if you wanted to add anything.
Well, all I wanted to add was, I'm working on the February statements, and the good news is the sales tax is up again for February. So that's really good news. And I just wanted to give you guys some like national and state information. So sales tax in Arkansas is up by about 2%. Nationally, so this January relates to the Christmas season, and nationally online sales were up by 8.6% nationally. So that's why we see the big jump, and all sales up nationally 4%. Okay, so Northwest Arkansas did much better than the rest of the state and the nation. Our Northwest Arkansas is up about 9%. Springdale, I think it was 9.3, I think is what they were up. Oh, 9.03. And Bentonville was 6.9, and Fayetteville was 6.3. So we did as well, if not better, than the rest of the nation did. So I kind of wanted to give you, so that's good news, because, you know, as we talk about things like this, you know, 1 month does not a trend make, right? If it's up 1 month, you can't expect it to be up the next month. We've had months where sales tax can go up because the state made a mistake the prior month, and it will be less the prior month than it should have been. So there can be all sorts of reasons. But I think that January and February were a sign of a really strong Christmas season. And, you know, for our sales tax revenue, I hate to say it, I really hate to say it, but inflation is a good thing because we get more sales tax revenue when prices are going up. You know, as long as people aren't buying less, when that pain point kicks in, then people will buy less and our sales tax will crash. So, are there any questions about that? Does that all make sort of sense? Yeah, okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks for checking into that. Then we can go into new business. The first resolution is approving mayor's appointment of Linda Fife to the Tree Advisory Board, and that's for a 3-year term. I believe that Taylor sent you out the resumes of the people that applied, so you can see them. And the next one.
Are we okay to put that on consent agenda?
Yes.
Any objection to that? Okay.
Good point. And I guess the minutes would be on there too.
Yeah, the minutes are always.
Okay. Next one is a resolution approving the mayor's reappointment of Mike Gabb to the Tree Advisory Board for a 3-year term ending May 1, 2028. He's currently chairman. He came to speak to us recently. So, is that okay for consent agenda? Okay. Okay, let's see. Item D is approving the mayor's appointment of Cody Moore to the Bella Vista Board of Construction Appeals for an unexpired term ending January 1, 2026. And that's relatively short term because it's to replace Wade Stewart, who resigned. He moved out of state. That was a big loss because he was a good tennis player. Things happen. So, anyway, I don't know if you got his resume.
I don't think so.
Anyway, I asked the chief for it today, and it was impressive, so we can get you all copies of that. So,
Thank you.
is that okay for consent agenda? Okay. Let's see, next one's a resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk to enter into a contract with Apex Central in the amount of $101.25 per ton for asphalt street resurfacing hot mix overlay, and authorizing for a contract with Vance Brothers in the amount of $288 per square yard for slurry street resurfacing. And I don't know if Karen or Dan are here. Oh, Karen's here. You want to say a few words about that?
Yes, this is our annual street resurfacing program. We do it every year. We put out for bid hot mix asphalt laid in place as well as a slurry seal treatment. We advertised for 2 weeks publicly. We did the open bid. And for this year, we had 3 responses in hot mix, which is typical for Bella Vista, and 1 for the slurry seal. Of the 3 bids we received, APAC appears to be the lowest bid at 101.25 per ton. And when you multiply that out by how many tons we put out there, it's a big savings to the city compared to the other 2. On our slurry seal, for every year that I've been here at the street department, Vance Brothers has been the people who bid. They worked this region. We only had the 1 bidder on that. And so not a whole lot of competition there, but their price was $2.88 per square yard installed. We do a unit price on these. So based on the unit price, we could either add lengths or deduct depending on what we were estimating the numbers to come in at. And so we will use our budget for that, our approved budget. We have 2 that affect our hot mix. 1 is for new construction roads, and then the other one is our usual capital budget for resurfacing hot mix. Both of these items would be within our budget that City Council's approved. Do you have any questions for me that I can help clarify?
Well, I just wanted to mention, we were happy with the hot mix because it was $1.11 a ton last year. So we were guessing higher than we got. So the $1.01 a ton was a good news.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I was thinking something like that probably wouldn't be on consent, even though it's a resolution.
It's up to y'all. Larry says no, so put it on regular agenda.
Yeah, it's up to the...
It'll be on new business.
Okay, next one's a resolution amending the 2025 city budget to reappropriate unspent donation revenue to various departments from 2024. Kim, could you give us a breakdown on that?
So in your packet, you're going to have a list of donations by department and by use. So each year we go through this exercise, and all we're doing is saying that this is amount of money that's been donated for these purposes to the city, and we're making sure that we don't spend that another way. We want to respect the donor's wishes, so we go through and we assign these. So the difference is it's an assignment, so if the council wishes, at any time they can basically revoke that assignment. But in general, the council in the past has decided that they would like to continue to honor the wishes of the donor, and so we just go through this step and reassign, if you will, those monies that were donated during the year. We have an incredibly generous city, to put it mildly. Any questions?
I don't see the breakdown. Did anybody want that?
Okay, I didn't have the breakdown.
We don't have
I
the
just
breakdown.
had-
We just have a total.
No, they have the,
I'm sorry,
The
I thought that was
budget
that was an
amendment request
attachment to the,
no, this is all I got for attachments.
oh, okay. You'll have it for Monday night.
Thank you.
Do I need to come back, or do you have any specific questions that I can tell you? I can give you the amounts per group if you like, or you can wait till Monday, or what would you like to do?
Question for you, is it an attachment to the resolution or is it an attachment to the memo?
It should be.
I don't know, I thought it was an attachment. I thought
It's an
I had,
attachment to the resolution. It's incorporated.
Yes.
Incorporated
yes,
into the resolution.
okay, good.
But we have a budget amendment, but it's for the total. It doesn't.
So the 386,000 is at the total?
I'd have to-
Yes,
Yeah.
Are you able to email us the breakdown?
certainly. Is it not in the resolution? Because in the past, what you've done is say, broken down as the following.
I said, what the one we did last year,
Let me-
it's the very
let me
same
look.
one.
Let me look at it now. so that-
Hereby, council hereby amends the 2025 city budget to reappropriate unspent donation revenue to various departments from 2024 in accordance with the attached exhibit, which is incorporated into this resolution as if set out word for word herein. And so then the document with the numbers is incorporated. So
Okay, so it is there.
it-
But we don't have it.
No.
We just have the words he just
The
read.
attachment is,
so we
the
have-
attachment, the correct attachment is not there.
Okay, so you didn't get the correct attachment either.
No,
It wasn't in, I guess the attachment that we got, I didn't realize needed to be broken down. I mean, there is an attachment that was put in Civic Plus, that's for the
Okay.
total.
yeah.
Okay,
No.
I got you. I can send it out in just a few minutes. I thought it was, I thought I attached it.
So that's the breakdown that you're
Yes.
setting up?
Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Do you want to know any specifics now? Because I have it up on my screen, because I thought you might have questions.
If you want to tell us, that's great, but, I mean,
Yeah, you want to just read it
Yep,
out?
sure.
Not that long.
I wonder what-
I don't know what she's talking about.
So you didn't get it.
No, I mean, there is an attachment in the packet that says budget adjustment, budget amendment, and it's got the total.
Yes,
That's what I
so
was referring to.
for planning, the Legacy Racing Group has donated money to the tune of about $35,754. There's PD car seats for $90. General PD use is $15,270. The K-9 department has $100. Fire department has $52,433. The ambulance is at, ambulance grant revenue is at actually that's grant revenue, a little different. I'll skip that. Hazmat is on here, but that's a little different too. That's $32,000. Library donations for young adult is at $2,142. For general use is $246,134. And then, yeah, that's the last one. So yeah, so we have really generous people in the city.
Do we have plans for the general use?
For the library?
No, just for the general
is it in the
use?
general fund or
No, these are specifically to the library.
the general use?
That was general use for the library.
Oh, wow.
Library, general use. Yeah, nobody donates to street,
Okay.
finance,
You take it.
IT. Note, we're accepting donations. But that's general use for the library.
Was that from like the Friends of the Library group?
No,
Okay.
I'm just doing it.
no. That's up, by the way, $196,000 from last year. So they got a very large, nice donation.
So when were these donations collected, like, just? in
Through the year.
2023?
That's the total unused portion. So keep in mind that, and
Yeah, this is just what was unused. There was
Yes.
more than
We
that
have
donated.
carryover from prior years?
correct. So, back in, I'm going to get this year wrong, 2 years ago, February 2023, not going to get it wrong. February 2023, City Council adopted a rule that allowed the departments, if they get a donation during the year, it is automatically appropriated and available for them to spend without City Council approval. Because prior to that, if they wanted to spend, let's say that that planning wanted to spend $60,000 and they got another 20, right? They would have had to come back to you in order to appropriate that money, that extra money, into the budget to spend it. But now it is considered appropriated the moment it's donated. They can spend it. So this is unused after 2024.
Wow.
So are these all of the funds that you have that are moved into this account then?
To the current year. Yes. Is that what you're asking me?
Yeah, so there's none sitting on the shelf?
Correct.
Okay. Now, if we get another donation on one of these funds, from what you're saying, it would be automatically added to the account this year, or whatever it would be. So if it's $1,000, they got another 500, it would then be 1,500 at that point in time.
Correct, exactly. Whatever additional donations they get, they can use. We had that happen. The reason we did that, Larry, I think you were here, was I think it was PD got a big donation for a canine.
Yep.
And so we wanted to stop having to come, they got $10,000, so they had to come to council to get that appropriated in the budget in order to spend it. So we said, going forward, let's just,
If it's in the current year in the budget and the
Yep.
resolution's been passed.
right, because it's not going to impact the net end of year budget, right? Because they're not going to spend more than what they collected during the year or this amount. Good question.
How much did you say the library was up this year from last year?
Approximately, just shy of $200,000.
Thank you. Good for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I show that they got a large donation of, let's see, what's that amount? They got, in donations in 2024, they got $207,000.
We've had sizable bequests and wills from very generous people in the past. And in fact, I don't, some of this carries over from year to year, so I don't know if what they, some of this, like I said, might not have all been collected last year. I had to defer on that. We had a large one this year, and we had a large one last year. So they've had, through the years, they get pretty. $20,000 or something like that, wasn't it? It was in the tens of thousands.
It was.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Kim. So that was amending the city budget. I guess, do we want to put that in consent or not? Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, next one is a resolution authorizing an agreement between City of Bella Vista and City of Gravette regarding cost sharing of improvements to Hiwassee Road. I think Karen is going to talk about this.
In September of last year, the City of Gravette reached out to our department about their intentions of paving Hiwassee Road from 72 up to Highlands Boulevard. That portion of Hiwassee Road, the most southern belongs to Gravette, the northern tip to us, and in the middle, it's about a 50-50 split. So in order to do that, they wanted to make sure we were on board so it could be one complete pave at one time, seamless. They didn't know at that point if it was going to be a 25 or a 26 project on their end, and then around Christmas time they reached out and said, we're aiming for 2025. So we earmarked our portion in our resurfacing budget to make sure we had those funds marked. Like I had said earlier, we put so much out to bid. I asked Gravette, well, how many roads are you guys putting out to bid? They were only going to do the one at the time, which means for the unit price, their price probably would have been higher. In fact, they gave a proposal just for budgeting purposes, and it was higher. So we offered to flip it around completely, us oversee the contract, and then them reimbursed Bella Vista for their portion. We did the math on that, and it will save both cities money. We've done this in the past for other Spanker Road. We shared with Benton County. We've done some RDOT projects like where Hampstead meets 71. So it's not unusual for us to work with our sister cities to have one solid even pavement at one time for maintenance. And that's what this is. It's given us an opportunity to work collectively with the City of Gravette, our sister city, and get that road taken care of.
So there's a breakdown of.
There is in your
percentages.
packet.
Yeah, in the packet. And so, and there's also a map that's turned, but Hiwassee Road is the road that runs from Highway 72 and Hiwassee, City of Gravette, Hiwassee, basically due north to Highlands Boulevard. And then, I'm not trying to steal your
No
thunder,
worries.
but so there's a portion of it that's exclusively in Bella Vista, there's a part, and you said this, there's a part that's half and half, and then there's a part that's exclusively in the City of Gravette. And if, I didn't do the measurements, but I think the rates were determined based on linear feet, is that what it
Correct.
was?
That is correct.
So there's about half of it that's all gravit, about another piece which is divided half and half with gravit, and then there's a piece near Highland Boulevard that's all ours.
Correct.
That's the orange part.
Yes, and you should have in there like the project scope where it lists the linear feet, how many tons we're expecting per each segment.
So this estimate here is based upon our low bidder?
Correct, that is correct.
So it still could vary a bit because of unit quantities that we're paying on.
Correct.
We're not paying on a bottom line, we're paying on a unit price, so.
Correct.
I put in 10 widgets or 11, you pay on 10 or 11 rather than 9,
Yes.
so.
So there's a scope breakdown of everything that each section would require and an estimate on what we're expecting that to cost.
I think a lot of Bella Vistans use that road to get from the Highlands down to Highway 72. So it will
Yes,
definitely
that's another one of the
benefit our
benefits
people, whether it's in our city
of
or
us
not.
working together is that the downtime to resurface it, Gravit's not doing their separate than our portion. There won't be seams in between the two portions or different age of those sections. So I think it just shows our willingness to work with our sister cities.
Even the different mix design between the
Correct.
contractors.
This is great.
Okay.
So that's
Thank
what that was
Thank
about.
you.
Okay, then we had several discussion items. The first one is Republic Waste Recycling. Jennifer Fagan, the manager of municipal sales, is here. And by happenstance, we had a public meeting last week of,
Can I excuse that?
Yeah.
Did we put that on consent or not? Give me excuse.
No.
Okay, all right.
I just assumed it was.
Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't hear, so, sorry.
Hi, Jennifer, thanks for coming.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Fagan, for those that don't know me, and I'm the municipal manager for Republic Services. The gentleman in the back here with the matching shirt is my general manager, Jason, and he's been with us about a year here at our location and proudly calls Bella Vista home. So, Travis had wanted me to come and speak a little bit about recycling. So I want to kind of give you a history of, I've been here 23 years, so we can go way back, but a history of what we've done over the years regarding recycling. When I first started back years ago, the recycling program, some of you may know, was a blue bag program. People would sign up with us, get on our route for recycling. It was once a month, and they would purchase blue recyclable bags at Walmart, and our drivers would go by once a month and put those. We had rear load trucks back then, and they had little contraptions built underneath them, and they'd put those bags in there and then set them at the end of some of the streets, and then a supervisor would come through and grab them. This went on for quite a while. We didn't have much participation. You know, obviously the AARP has the location there in Bella Vista that a big majority of the citizens here in Bella Vista support. And rightly so. You know, the money comes back into the community, and there's some great things about it. So in 2017, through the cart process and automating our trucks, we took a hard look at the recycling program. Out of 13,000 residents or homes, we had just a little bit over 300 people participating. So the council at the time and everybody looked at it and just felt like, you know, it wasn't worth continuing at the time because everybody utilized the drop-off facility. So that's kind of how we've worked. There was language before in the contract that said, you know, if something happened that the recycling facility drop-off shut down or something, then we would revisit it. And that's just kind of how it's progressed over the years. I know the demographics of Bella Vista have been changing over the years, and we've had people reach out to us about curbside recycling. We're certainly not opposed to it at all. We do it in Bentonville, and we do it in Pea Ridge. Pea Ridge, everybody pays for it. It's every other week. And if they want to participate, they get a cart. If they don't, they don't. They don't get a cart. And Bentonville's the same way. It is once a week in Bentonville. And we offer those same exact services. As many of you know, recently in the last year, the Marks Recycling Center burned to the ground. At first, the plan was they were going to turn around and reopen within 60 days. And here we are months later, and that hasn't happened, nor have we really heard, what the progress is going to be. So currently, what we're doing with our recyclables is we take them to the transfer station in a dedicated area, and then we load them up in the back of an 18-wheeler, and then we truck them to Springfield, Missouri, to our recycling facility. We do own that facility in Springfield, Missouri, and so that's why it's going there now. One of the things that we've always looked at with the recycling is obviously the cost. As you guys are well aware, there are many, many miles of Bella Vista. We run 5 trash routes a day picking up trash in Bella Vista. So essentially, you look at that same kind of logistical plan. If you were going to do recycling, we would probably try to look at doing it every other week if it's something that you all wanted. It's costly. I mean, there's just no other way to put it. You have to have a truck, you have to have the labor, and the only difference is you don't take it to a landfill, you take it to a recycling drop-off or a recycling process facility. And for the last 3-4 years, that cost more than a landfill, ever since China Sword happened in 2018. So those are some of the obstacles that we face. We're open if that's, if the council wants to try to move in that direction of trying to get some kind of program together. Obviously, to have people subscribe to it, it just raises the cost up even more. You have to have some type of minimum number for it to even make sense, just for it to be cost effective. But I do know in the past that people come out in groves when you want to take away the recycle drop-off. And it's not that we would take it away, but if we offered not mandatory, but curbside service where everybody paid for it, they would have problems sustaining any kind of volume. We've talked to them in the past about, bringing volume to them. And it's just too labor intensive, and everything's separated there at that facility. So that's kind of the history and the where and the why of where we are today with it. Like I said, we're not opposed to anything the council wants to look at. I know we're working on, we have a contract that's ending with some possible extensions and stuff, so, we could start working on whatever direction you guys want to give. We completely support the recycling drop-off and what it does for the community. And we don't want to overstep unless that's where the city directs us.
So would it ever be possible to revisit with that recycling center to see if you did offer a curbside pickup, that it could be taken there now? Maybe something's changed since then, I don't know. They whenever I talked to them, they seemed kind of open to the idea, but they did mention that it's already, it's separated there, and that's a big cost that if they got it and had it sorted, I don't think they could handle that. It's mostly volunteer. But I don't know, maybe can we revisit that conversation with them?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Larry?
What type of things do you recycle at Springfield? You say you load it up in a semi and haul it up there and process it up there, but what kind of things do you deal with up there, and what do you do with, how do you dispose of them after you've separated them again?
We recycle just your main things, cardboard, the metal or aluminum, 1 and 2 plastics, paper. What am I missing? Am I missing anything else?
No, that's pretty much it. And actually, to speak to your point, just one thing I wanted to add. So I'm sure everybody's seen the Bella Vista transfer stations. You talked about kind of revisiting with the recycle center. Imagine an operation like the Bella Vista transfer station. That is generally what would be needed at the recycle drop-off facility. You think about just the normal residents coming in, dropping off, cardboard, plastic, things of that nature. Imagine 6 to 8 ton being dumped at one time. That would be what would be needed to intake that type of volume at the recycling center. that would be ideal for us to work together and partner. The infrastructure that would be needed for them to build, I think would be hard to get across the finish line.
Yeah, I bet you're right. That seems.
Although you guys do have a lot of people that do donations.
Isn't there a way to get those numbers and like what cost would look like if this was implemented, or what the number of buy-in from citizens would need to be? Is it able to get the information to us?
I can get you some kind of rough numbers
Yeah,
and
is it
stuff. I mean, we
rough
wouldn't know.
ballpark?
Obviously, the most cost-effective way for everyone would be to make it be a part of the bill.
And then you choose to participate or not.
And that is what Bentonville does and P Ridge. And, you know, people can participate if they want to, or they can continue to keep dropping it off. Either way works. I will tell you, years ago, we visited with Benton County Solid Waste District also. They had an operation there outside Centerton. And we offered to bring, you know, 1 or 2 loads a week to them, and same thing. You know, it is the labor intensive and the infrastructure that's needed. Now in Springfield, once it's processed, to answer your question, then they are a regular recycling processing facility. That is all they do. So, you know, they have different buyers that buy the commodities, and then they're trucked wherever. They do partner with some industrial companies there that utilize and buy some of the product from them. You know, but obviously it fluctuates in pricing and everything, and some things aren't worth anything.
So you mentioned cardboard, aluminum, metal, what are the other ones? Paper, do you gonna do?
Paper, 1 and 2 plastics.
What about glass?
We do not do glass, no. And the reason being for that, it's a safety issue, and then it tears the equipment up. I mean,
I'm told in Fayetteville they have a recycling program where whoever operates that, they kind of sort it on site. So
Yes.
Would that be a possibility here? Because then maybe we could take it to our local recycling center. So
our current equipment, trucks, don't allow for that. You know, obviously, there's lots of things we can do. It's just, you know, there's money attached to it all.
They utilize a secondary truck system, and so they have the waste management truck that comes through, and they have a secondary recycling truck where a sorter gets out in your yard and like sorts it, and then the things that were not supposed to be, the no-nos get tossed back into your yard before you pick up later.
It has different compartments. It's like if you see those deals set up at Sam's that have the roll-offs, that have the different bins, it's along that same idea. I will tell you, as a company, single stream recycling is what we call it, where you can put everything together. People participate more so on that than they do when they have to separate it out.
I was wondering if you could give an idea of what percentage of people, say in Bentonville, what percentage of people participate and how much does it cost?
I don't remember what they pay monthly. It's in their trash fee for resident, you know, it's all combined together. I'm going to say roughly $16, $17. But I would say at least once a month, we probably have about 80-85% participation. The biggest problem we face with everything is the contamination. One of the things we do in Bentonville is an extra trash cart, because they want people to recycle. An extra trash cart is more expensive. And while that's good to try to get people to recycle, a lot of times they use that recycle cart for extra trash. Whereas here in Bella Vista, we wanted everybody to put stuff in a cart, so we offered that second trash cart for, it's like under $3. So that would be something that we'd have to revisit and everything as well, because you want to give them a reason, right, to participate.
So you'd look at probably automated loading from this locations, sites like you do now?
Yes.
An automated loader that dumps the carts. So we'd be looking at a cart scenario, probably the same size so that you can use the same equipment that you have. Is that
Yes.
a good sense? So it might be oversized for a lot of people, but undersized for some others.
Right. And then we would do just like the trash, we would offer an extra cart for recycle as well. They have a different colored lid. The only problem is when it snows. Then you can't tell, you know, what color the lid is with the snow on top of it. But yeah, it would basically be the same exact operation. It would just be a matter of where it went.
And so you collect it in a truck that compresses it, and then you take it back to where,
We would take it to currently, we would take it to Bella Vista to the transfer station.
but you'd have a separate area that you designate for that, which is not there now, correct?
It is, yes, that's what we're
It
doing
is.
right now. We just have certain times that we can dump it. We don't dump it twice a day like we used to.
Okay. So then how frequently, if you do every 2 weeks, can you do the whole city in one day? No.
No, we would.
You do it over 5 days.
We would probably quadrant it off and have A week and B week. And that's, we'd have a calendar and section of what's A and what's B. And it might be on their same day. It would depend on participation and how we worked it. But if we did some type of subscription, you're talking, it's gonna be basically the trash price. So they'd be paying basically double. And like I said, we'd have to have some kind of minimum, and it may be even higher than that. We just
Oh, it
have to
wouldn't be
put.
double because you're only doing one pickup in 2 weeks versus 2, right?
Yes, in theory, you're right. However, if it was subscription, we'd be driving 15 miles to get one person, 10 miles to get somebody else, as opposed to picking up 10 homes in a half-mile stretch.
Most people don't appreciate the price is so, the reason the garbage price is as good as it is because of volume.
Right.
Almost everybody's in.
Well, I'll give you an example. We have the yard waste program, and I lived in Bella Vista for years, and I had the same issue with my leaves and everything. Out of 13,000 people, we have less than 700 that participate in it here. If we didn't combine it with Bentonville and have the compost facility to drop it off at, we wouldn't be able, it wouldn't even be
More
close.
expensive.
Exactly.
So what do they pay now for that service?
It is 15 something a month, and it's billed 8 months together. It's April through the end of November, and they pay for all 8 months, whether they use it 1 month or when, because.
You're not talking about yard waste, are you?
Yeah,
It would,
Can you send us the price for that as well?
sure. I can tell you if you want to wait.
One point to think through too, that's easy to get overlooked if you're not necessarily in the industry, is when you run, MSW, Municipal Solid Waste, and Recycle at the same time, so as you mentioned, A and B week, that's another asset. So that's another truck on the road. So arguably, for right now we're running 5 trucks per day. You very easily could be in the 8 to 9 to potentially 10 trucks running Bella Vista at the same time versus just your normal 5. So it's, when you think of just wear and tear on assets, things like that, the other challenge is Recycle doesn't pack like MSW. So if we can run a route that has 900 stops on it, we potentially could get all of that into one truck. You're looking at another 2 loads potentially. You might as well just chop it in half because just imagine your trash can trying to push down pizza boxes, milk jugs, those types of things. It doesn't pack. So that's the other challenge with Recycle. So just something to kind of think through as you guys kind of navigate maybe what you guys would like to see from a council perspective. That's just another piece that sometimes does get overlooked.
What kind of fuel mileage do those trucks get?
4 gallons?
5 miles, 4 miles to the gallon.
Is
maybe.
that full or empty?
It's hard to gauge. Typically we don't even try to identify fuel mileage because the other side of it is you're burning fuel while you're packing. So it's kind of a false positive, false negative, however you want to look at it from a fuel perspective. Because you ever heard the garbage truck when they pack the blade, truck revs up to roughly 18 to 2100 RPM. So that's the equivalent of running 40 mile an hour down the road.
Right.
I'm glad he was here.
so you had said, Jennifer, that you would expect maybe an 80 to 85% participation rate?
Possibly. In
Is that based on
Bentonville,
Bentonville or is that based on?
that's based off Bentonville. And Pea Ridge's participation is going up. They're seeing a lot of new people, new houses being built. And, you know, it's the same thing, it's included in the rate. Now, two of the big things, obviously, that differentiate here, the commercial is included in the agreement here, but there's substantially, obviously in Bentonville, substantially more commercial. So that, you know, it's a kind of a package deal. And same thing with Pea Ridge, there's quite a bit more commercial as well.
So in the event that it wasn't financially doable for us, would it be possible for a third-party company that can sort it on site and bring it to our local nonprofit recycling center? Because we've been told in the past that the reason why they can't do that is because of the contract the city has with Republic.
That's something we could discuss. The problem you get into, and Benton County Solid Waste District did this years ago, is they started doing that and picking up businesses and stuff that, and they didn't charge anybody, because that's the big thing. Anybody can do it. They just can't charge anything. Part of that is we pay franchise fees to you guys to pick up what we're doing. The current, I don't have the yard waste rates, but I do have the trash rates, and it's $17.48 and $15.73 is paid to us. And the rest, I think, is billing, and, or I don't know, it's an admin fee, but part of the problem is they're around whenever things are good, when the commodities are good. If you see these cardboard, they're almost like chicken coop deals around and stuff. You know, those will start popping up when cardboard is worth a lot of money, and then they don't show up. And I know that there's been a guy that's been wanting to do it and everything. You know, it's the same thing. We can talk further about it and everything. It's just we don't want to get blamed for somebody else's. You know, we don't want them to group us in because they don't get picked up on that service.
Have you guys ever used or utilized the sorter type bin things? I know that.
Like what you talked about with Fayetteville?
Yeah.
Years ago, I have never done it, but years ago, Republic has. But you just don't get the participation like you do with single sort.
Okay.
You know, people just, they want it easy.
Well, I just didn't know with how popular the recycling center that we currently have. I mean, with participation with that, if people would be more inclined to use it if they only had to have to drive to, you know, Allen's instead of all the way down or whatever,
Right.
you know, to get to, you know, to get the recyclables, you know, to a point, you know.
You know, I don't know. I know that facility seems like people really, I mean, it's like on their list every week. And,
yeah.
And they visit with them, and it's just, it seems like it's a part of the community.
Because there's no other option. Yeah, it's the only option, so it has to be on the list because we don't have other options. Like,
Well, I know the last mayor was very reluctant to do curbside recycling because of the recycling center, that it would destroy it. Basically, there's 5 to 7 paid employees there.
And then they donate all their money back to the city.
Mm-hmm.
And no offense, I don't know the Republic would do the same, so we would pay money to a corporation.
how much money is that though?
Look,
Yeah.
I don't know if it goes to the city. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, there are two things in there.
Grants, yeah.
Yeah, it's charities and stuff, yeah, but.
We heard
Local.
no one donates to the city, yeah.
Okay. The last question I have is just to remind you, I'm really interested in the yard waste pickup prices.
Okay.
If you'll send those to us, I think maybe I overestimated people's interest in recycling because the 300 people is disheartening because it seems like, based on the conversations I've had, a lot more people are interested in it.
But that's in 2017, almost
2017.
a decade.
I have one question.
Not long ago?
I
A
know.
long time ago now. So I think you mentioned yard waste or some other pickup projects where we've kind of tacked on to Bentonville. So is there opportunity to have a larger contract within the county where we could average out the cost across Bella Vista? No?
I don't believe so.
The other cities are not going to
Yeah,
do
they
that.
won't.
You mean they don't want a higher cost so we can?
They're not going to pay one penny more for their citizens of Bella Vista.
Everybody's needs are a little bit different. I mean, that is the truth of the matter. And, you know, just like with this contract and everything, we've been hauling it for a long time. And like I said, we run 5 routes a day and 6 or 7 on Friday. We cover a lot of miles and it's hard on the equipment. I mean, you guys know, you know from your fire trucks and your police cars and everything. You know, it's hilly and some of those roads around the lakes and stuff, I'm like, I don't know how we get a truck down there. I'm glad I'm not the one doing it.
And do you drive most streets twice?
Yes, we pick up for safety reasons,
You've got
a right
houses
hand.
on both sides, you do
Mhm.
a dual side pickup, so you go one way and you come back again.
Yes.
So instead of 550 miles in a week for your
We're doing
vehicles,
double.
you've got 1,100 miles for your vehicles in a week.
Yeah, the company, we call that snaking, where you pick up one and go over to the neighbor across the street. And the company as a whole, and most all of them, the major companies have gotten away with it, away from that because of the safety
They do it
issues.
on a one-way to make it.
Uh-huh.
Well, she said safety.
Yeah, it's the safety.
Although you'd have the trash carts all on the same side of the street, so you wouldn't be picking up a left and right. You'd be going down the street, and you'd either choose the right side.
If we could ever get that accomplished, where they all put it on one side of the street, you know, but then you're putting your citizens at risk.
Well,
You know,
you're
crossing
talking
back
about
and forth.
One neighbor across the way puts the stuff over there, and then maybe it's not all contained, and it weeps out on the ground. And you
Right,
pick
and
it
there's a
up,
mess.
and it creates just hardship in the neighborhood. So you're optimistic about the 80 to 85%. Realistically, we might think about projections about maybe a half?
The only way you'll get that kind of participation is if it's, everybody pays. If it's subscription, I'm gonna guess you'll be lucky to get 10%.
Well, even if everybody pays, the point being is that many may not choose to participate. Or if they do participate, it's going to be not every other week, it's going to be once a month, once every 3 weeks or 6 weeks or whatever. So the frequency of putting a cart out, it's like those who have two yard waste units, sometimes they could use 3, and then there's 2, and then a lot of the times during the year, they only use 1 out of the 2 that they're contracted for.
Right.
So probably the same for recycle. That's my guess.
Okay, is that everything? Well, thanks, Jennifer. Really
You're welcome,
appreciate
and
your
I'll
time.
email that information out.
Thank you.
The next subject is Oldham Drive update. Dan Downing, Street Assistant Superintendent.
Got a couple of printouts for you guys, those of you that like to crunch numbers or look at numbers. That's the traffic count that we did. I had one of our guys, Andrew Wilhelm, set up our traffic counter. He went out there on a Sunday afternoon, set it up. We ran it for a week. So we got the full work week plus the weekend. You can see their results. Targeted 7-day period was a total number of 17,103 vehicles. Daily average of 2,443. If you look on that second page, it actually breaks it all down even further. That was one of the things from last time. Also, I got with the water department, and they did a line test on the main line for Oldham. No leaks, no issues. They also did line tests for every side street and meter off of Oldham. They found one leaky meter. They fixed it that same day, and that was it. As far as the project, Mike Holman with Terracon, who we've been dealing with, he gave us a call, asked if he could share our findings with another individual. We said absolutely. That individual was a area rep for a national firm, GSI. I believe it's Geo Stabilization International. They're a national firm that specializes in soil stability. Originally, Terracon recommended against mitigation A option, the soil nailing. After visiting with the specialists from GSI, they came up with another option. It's basically soil nailing 2.0. Because of the shallow rock there and the inability to get a suitable anchor, we thought that wasn't going to be a long-term fix, that it would eventually start to slide. GSI engineers came in, looked at it, they said, we can still do that, but what they do is they go in and they actually drill into the rock and then set the pipes and grout them in, so they're actually secondary locked in versus just drilled into the rock. Don't know if that's going to be a cheaper option or not. One thing off the top with GSI, their equipment to do this option removes the need of moving power poles. So that in itself right up front is a pretty good cost savings. We'll see what happens. Basically where we're at now, GSI has sent over this change order. Mayor, I don't know if you got it yet or not for your signature. Basically it's a two-phase thing that they're looking at doing. The first phase is 1 through 3 here. Develop 2 conceptual designs of 10% conceptual design, one for the soil rock anchor system that GSI is now proposing, and the 10% conception design for the soldier wall piles that we talked about originally. They will identify any potential contractors, meet with them, collect construction cost estimates, then they will meet with us, we'll choose a mitigation option, and they will then go into the second phase. That first phase, 1 through 3, their fee is a $6,000 fee for that. The second scope of it, 4 through 7, would be once we choose an option, they will go through the design process, prepare drawings, get them stamped by a professional engineer registered in Arkansas, provide the design and related calculations to go out to bid for whoever bids on it. Once the bids come in, they'll sit with us, go through the bid openings, help select the contractor, any questions we have beyond that. It's kind of where we're at. That second phase is a fee of $22,000. So for both of these, this one change order, $28,000, we do have the original inspection earmarked under one of our new road construction accounts. We can also earmark this into that account and cover it at this point. But once something was designed and we chose to put it out to bid, we would then be coming for a budget adjustment and get everything covered under one package.
So can you wrap that up in a memo to us?
Sure.
That'd be,
yeah.
You've said a lot. I mean, you've given us a lot of stuff here.
Yeah, it's a lot, but it's still kind of, we're waiting for more answers.
Do you need to wait for more stuff before you get an approval on this? Is that it?
Yeah, we're basically, if we can wait for the 10% conceptual drawings and kind of go from there.
So so you don't have any change order to get to the 10%, right?
Yes, we have a change order. Mike Coleman was supposed to be sending that over for the mayor's signature. We weren't able to get a hold of him today, so I don't know where that's at. But basically to actually get the 2 different concepts drawn up at a 10%, choose one, go full design, full engineering, stamped, out to bid. We can cover all of that with the account we have earmarked.
So how or who are you going to make the choice between the GSI proposal and the one that's currently there? Are they
Well-
going to,
One of the key factors off the top, I'm sure, is going to be cost.
but there's still conceptual costs, because you really,
Yes, yes. Those conceptual costs was $6,000. Once one was chosen and it went to full design and stamped engineer drawings, that second phase was $22,000. Like I said, we have that construction account within our budget that we can earmark that in and cover that at this point. But yeah, once we had the 10%, we can kind of see what the design is, what information they've been able to gather for cost estimates, and kind of go from there. Good? Any questions?
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. So that's in process. Our next one is update on alcohol tax study, council member Shane Newport.
Hello. Okay, so we did some napkin math with using some data that we got from local sources about what an alcohol tax would roughly yield. And it's going to only be about 10% of what we need for the $500,000 to further staff and support our fire department operations, right? The goal was roughly to get $500,000. So I'm not sure if I have the appetite to go after an alcohol tax that does not meet its intended need or use.
So you would bring in about 50K of income a year to the city. What would the cost be to, like, do we know what the is that post cost, or?
We estimated there really wouldn't be any cost.
Not significant, but I want to, you and I had a conversation. I said I needed some more time. There were some things that got in the way. But one of the things I found out is that I should be able to get the alcohol sales tax revenue for the city of Bella Vista from the state of Arkansas. I should be able to get the exact number, not this estimate that we've been doing. And so Jason and I are talking about we may have to FOIA it, but we can get that number. They collect that number, we can get it. So we were told originally we couldn't get it. I think I mentioned that to you, is that we were told we couldn't. But I went back and started doing some research, and I said the number's right there. Somebody's got that number. So I've made calls, I've left messages, and I have yet to hear back. And so we're going to continue because based on our preliminary numbers, it's not a lot of money. If we went and did 5% or 10%, it doesn't come up to a lot of money. But it would be nice to know what it is in 2025 or 2024 for 2024, so then we can see, because as you mentioned, Shay, when we started this, that we expect that number to continue to grow with what's happening with
Hospitality increase in the city.
yeah, I'm sorry, the trail thing, right? That we expect to see that number grow. So right now we have 27 licenses in the city. And 11 of them are POA. And, we have the basically, you can round to $900,000. And $900,000, if we put a 5%, that's $50,000, right? So that would be $50,000 from the POA. And that's not, to Shay's point, that's not a lot. But I really want to go ahead and finish this so that we have a better understanding of exactly what it is, because that's just the POA. And I got to thinking about it. I suspect that there is another another $1 million floating around in the city in alcohol sales, right? I'm betting it's another. So that would put us at $100,000. Well, now that's not enough money to do what we wanted to do, but it's a start towards that, and as we grow. So I want to put a bow on it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I just want to put a bow on it.
Yeah,
Well,
I appreciate that.
If we did it, would the money go to the general fund, or would it?
It go to general fund.
Correct.
so, you budget.
So I appreciate that. And yeah, I definitely appreciate, feel free to continue it. I just wanted to kind of give an update that it's still, regardless of where the number lands, it doesn't come close to funding 6 additional firefighters. So I didn't know if, I asked everyone, last month if you had any ideas, if we could discuss those. I didn't know, did anyone else have any ideas on, additional funds of revenue or ways to save or be able to improve upon our staffing?
Maybe zoning, because we had more commercial zoning, like over by the Highlands and I-49. I don't know what it's zoned for, but I would think that maybe in the near future that would be prime real estate for commercial, but I don't know if it's zoned for that.
Depends what the Cooper land controls are over there.
That was my only other idea.
I mean, that literally is it. It's already a part of the plat, even though it's a large space for development. That open vacant lot is probably a part of the plat zoning, so it would say, it's going to be residential or something like that. I'm not sure. Taylor might have some thoughts.
Taylor might know.
There's a lot of R3 over there. There's a lot of unplatted land that was actually part of the acquisition. It's now Blue Crane runway.
When you say unplatted, you're talking about Cooper-owned unplatted land or third-party owned?
As part of the acquisition, it's no longer Cooper's. It's Blue Crane Runways.
Well, I understand, but it was Cooper land before, so it's now become a part of the Blue Crane
Acquisition, but not platted.
And
So there's no
whether
land
they choose to include it with the POA amenities or not is another factor in there. Is that correct?
Not sure what you mean.
Well, if they go commercial, are they going to want the revenue as a POA member? Because right now you can't get water utility service if you're not a POA member because of how it's recorded at the courthouse.
I don't know what their plans are for that land at the Highlands Center. I just know it's a part of the acquisition. It's unplatted. We have it zoned mostly as R3 apartments, things of that nature is in that zone. A lot of R2 duplexes are over there. However, the new property owner has not shared any development plans, but yes,
And
to
that
get
area
water.
on the east side of the expressway, right?
On the east side of the expressway?
Yeah, is that what we're talking about?
Well, you're talking about the Highlands Gate?
Yeah, sorry, if we could, what I'm trying to talk about in my update on my item on the agenda is to
commercial property about.
No, sir, no, I'm trying to discuss an update on the alcohol tax and ways to fund additional firefighters. So I just wanted to open the floor. I think to your point, Travis, by the time we would get any meaningful commercial development in the city, I think at that point we're due for additional fire stations and a whole new round of staffing there. So I like the
Citywide.
optimism, and I like where we're headed as a city, but I think it still doesn't really fix this gap now. I did do some research that I wanted to run by you guys about millage. So as a city council, we can pass up to 5 mills, and currently we are at 3.81. So there is a 1.19 mil up to, and we can actually enact mills in any increment that we wish. And it just takes a majority of city council to vote on that. So I do have some info here if we're interested in discussing that. But if we raised 1 mil, it would bring in revenue to the city of about $725,000. That would come at an average cost per household of $44 a year, which is way less than Netflix, I will say. And you get the benefit of life-saving care when you call 911. That's kind of where I'm at, but I definitely wanted to see what everyone thinks.
Then again, that would go to the general fund, and then it would be
budgeted
across, all departments.
I wouldn't be willing to vote for that unless it was a sure thing that the fire department would be adequately funded. So I don't know what that looks, I don't know if we can put that in there.
We want it to be tied together.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that, do you, Jason?
What's the question?
Well, he's talking about if you raised the millage on the property tax, could you earmark it for a particular thing like the fire department?
You budget the money, so whatever the council does by majority vote, the council can undo by majority vote. So you may have the best laid plans of setting it aside on a budget line in the bank, but until mean, any future council you could change your own mind, or a future council could change their mind. So, I mean, it's not like you could encumber it. I mean, it's not encumbered like a bond issue or
Yeah,
something.
it's not
where
like
you
a
can't get
pension
to.
millage,
You're not
right?
borrowing against it.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, I promise you don't know this, and Steve knows it because we've been around here forever. But that first general penny that you all collect in sales tax, the first, is it $100,000?
755.
150,000. The first $750,000 that collects is split 50% to the fire department and 50% to the police department. And that was the way that sales tax got passed. Now, we collect way more than that. So, but if we ever got into a crunch where we actually collected that amount or less, it could only fund the police and fire department. That's all you could fund. So we've sort of done that with a sales tax, and the voters approved that, and so we're locked in. On this, when you're talking about something the council can approve or reduce, increase or reduce, and a budget that you can spend or unspend, or, I mean, there's really no way I can say you're locked in forever and it couldn't change purpose at some point. But yes, you could say, our plan is to take this extra mill we're going to collect and put it in a reserve account that's going to be used for operation, for fire, for, you know,
It's just
in
not
3 years or
yeah, it's just
something,
not
whatever.
permanent in the way that
Yeah.
So
nothing
it's
we
not
do is
restricted funds, in other words, like.
Well, you can restrict it, but you can also unrestrict it.
So it would be assigned. It would be assigned, not restricted.
I'm sorry.
Because the council is assigning it.
So we would have the power to raise the millage and then decide in our budget process that that's how we want to spend the money. But none of it's permanent. We could reduce millage, we could increase millage.
And that $44, is that per household or?
That's just an average, so it is based off of a person's value of their home. So folks with $1 million houses would see a little more of that. Folks with lower valued homes would see a little bit less on that. But on average, we have 16,000 homes in Bella Vista. And so if this would raise $725,000, if we enacted an entire 1 mil, which of course we can do any increment up to 1.19, then it'll be based on their house. But on average, that'd be $44 a home per year. And an interesting and not fun fact is that we were actually at 4 mills as a city, but we had to take a reduced decrease due to some complicated legal structure that I'm sure Jason is begging to not have to explain.
No, I can't. Actually, I'd be happy to, because
Okay.
the reason the millage had to reduce is because the property valuation went up so much. So our income increased on lesser millage because of that. That it can only can't increase more than 10% for complicated reasons, and I'll stop there.
So we had, the city council had passed up to 4 mills, but then we were rolled back down. So we are now at 3.81. So just wanted to see everyone's opinion on that.
So roughly like 0.6 mils will get us there? So what the fire department, or can you not do it?
Yeah, we can do any increment.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's a moving target based on valuation.
Not for me to say.
Okay.
So you said the $44 is based on the average, so what is the average value of the property?
About like $300,000.
Is that average value for properties?
Well, I gave you that number, and that is not I don't like using averages, because an average is to take the most expensive house and the least expensive house and divide by 2. This is this is on the idea that the value that she's using is a house that is assessed by the county at $300,000.
So the real value is $600,000.
Correct.
Yes, also that.
Well, your market, Jason, remind me, because I'm getting all choked up about it, but remind me the assessed value is 30% of market? Is that what it is?
It's 20%, I was wrong. It's not,
Okay.
it's 20%.
So, so that is a pretty expensive house in the city of Bella Vista, and there's not, I mean, less than, I can tell you what I can calculate thank you. Yeah, I am getting choked up about it. I can find for you what the medium mode and, that is for you for Bella Vista.
The average and the median?
So that you guys,
Can I say one
thank
word?
you.
Sewer.
We do need.
sewer. You've got more than one need, is what my point is.
Yeah.
And so, but, and there's gonna be talk about that too. So I just want to, once we determine, I mean, we've kind of honed in, this is the only problem. Then you got other financial things too that you don't want to neglect to think about. That's, and it's your decision what it is.
That's a good point.
We got sewer, then we have water.
Your streets.
Watertown served areas that are not in the POA.
Our streets need some money too.
So did you want me to give you, because the last time I did this was for the last increase for police.
Yeah, they had to have more.
Yeah, so I can go back through, because it's been a couple of years now since I did that analysis, and we just finished 24, so I could do I could figure out what the average house, not the average, because again, the median and the mode are for Bella Vista. I can do that. I can take the weighted average if you want me to. If that's something you guys would like to know.
I think more information is great.
Okay.
Yeah, to everyone's point, there's a lot of concerns, a lot of issues in our city. Like I highlighted last month, we bring in significantly less money than our sister cities. We have significantly less dollars per citizen than sister cities, and we have significantly more responsibility spread out over at least 45 square miles to police, fire, and street. I mean, you even heard Republic talking about the strain of the size of our city to service it. So I think that to address all the issues across our city, commercial growth is coming and will be needed and used, but I have concerns about where our budget's headed and our ability to service our citizens. And when I think about servicing our citizens, I think having a capable 911 EMT service when we have an emergency is the number one thing that we owe our citizens. So that's kind of my spirit behind this, and it would take a majority of us to address this, and I just wanted to get everyone's thoughts.
I think it's a great idea. I appreciate that you're looking into the alcohol sales tax and that you didn't stop there. You looked at the next option and brought it to us. I think it's worth continuing to look at.
Get more information on what it actually looks like.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if everyone's aware of how the millage worked, how much we can enact, those sorts of things. So I think it's worth considering.
Yeah, the other thing about the millage and the property taxes, it comes up in October that we have to tell the county how much it is.
And it takes a year for that money to hit our coffers. One other thing to think about, and you haven't asked this question, but just kind of throwing it out there, is that we could, because the idea is that Blue Crane is going to increase commercial, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and that we're going to see an increase in sales tax revenue from the explosion of commercial coming to our city soon. By soon, I mean 5 to 6 years from now. So one of the things that we could do, and I've heard of cities in Arkansas doing this, and that is that you can enact a tax for a certain period of time. But I don't know, can you only do that with sales tax, Jason? Or can you do that with millage too?
Sure, I mean, the city, when it comes to millage, up to five generally. So you've also got we've also got the fire pension, the police pension, which are one each. And then there are, which we don't collect, there's a way for the library to have a millage up to 5 of its own with voter approval to operate a library system. So you have that. But in terms of the basic 5, the council can raise it or lower it and say we're going to put it up to 5 for 5 years, and then our plan is to reduce it down to 4 or something. Yes, the council could do that. Any tax other than that require voter approval, and it could be time limited.
I do have the average millages too, like by county and by city in Benton County, and then also state county averages. But our city, the average millage in a city in Benton County is 4.6, and like I mentioned, we're at the 3.8. So we are lower than other cities in our county.
Taylor, we don't have assessment fees like on new construction for our city.
Impact fees.
Impact?
We do have impact fees.
Okay.
Yes, for all new construction.
Okay. What is the cost?
It varies by use, single family, commercial, dwelling units. It's,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
wanted to go down that road.
And impact fees have a very specific. Yeah, okay.
I still think the best way to increase the city's revenue is to have more commercial, entities here. So whatever we could come up with to make that more of a possibility. Yeah.
I completely agree. My concern is, to Kim's point, by the time we see those revenues come in, our city will have grown 6 more years, and with the population growth that we're on, I just worry that our city's resources will be extremely strained. So that's my concern, and I don't feel like I'd be doing my job if I wasn't expressing that to the rest of you and seeing what we all want to do about it.
Absolutely.
Steve, can I ask you a question? How many years you been with the city of with Bella Vista?
Almost 30 years.
In those 30 years, has the fire department ever had exactly the number of people they needed to have?
No.
I could have mentioned that.
What company does?
Yeah. Or get closer.
Steve, do you have any other comments you'd want to say?
So thank you for looking into this.
Yes, but closing the gap is, as we can, for all our deficits we have.
Yeah, that was a good discussion. That's good food for thought, I think. And anybody have anything else, or else we can adjourn until next week?
What's that in the FOIA?
I was just going to, this really isn't a discussion item because I'm not, it's just more for information. You all adopted a rule change here a couple of months ago that would allow you to attend remotely or to have a remote meeting in full or to attend remotely. The state has amended the State Freedom of Information Act law, which will no longer allow that. So we're going to need to, before probably August, this hasn't taken effect yet, go back and look at your rules and change them. I can't give you the reason why they felt strongly about that particular thing, but they did. They said, except as provided, and this statute is a mess, so the mayor looked at it as well. He's an attorney as well, and this is one of the most convoluted, poorly written messes that I've seen in a long time. No disrespect to whomever may have written it. I think it's a writing by committee. Basically, there are a bunch of amendments and different people pulling and adding and stuff like that, and so they end up with a result that's no one person's draft. It's cobbled together. But anyway, except as provided in very limited circumstance, a member of a governing body shall be physically present at a public meeting to be counted for purposes of establishing a quorum or to vote. And it specifically says that other than governing bodies of municipalities, counties, or public school districts, a governing body may adopt a policy permitting the governing body to attend a public meeting remotely, but it says other than governing bodies of cities. So they specifically said cities, counties, and school districts are not allowed. And so make of it what you will. When I read this initially, I did not realize that they intended to stop remote participation. And I'm reading this, and I was getting confused and got on our list with our other attorneys. We have a little listserv, and oh no, they specifically intended to do that. And so I went back and looked at the debate in the Senate, and that's exactly what they intended to do. They were not going to allow cities to do that. So I say all that to say this is information for you. There's also more to this, and I'll be able to, it's not going to drastically change much of how you associate with each other, but it did provide some definitions and things to sort of concepts we've been carrying out anyway. But we will need to look at a rule change back to comply with state law before the end of the summer. So, sorry. Can't really do anything about it. So this is what it is.
Surprised we didn't see that coming.
Was there I forgot which bill it was, it's kind of hard to keep up, there were pretty packed sessions, but there was one that was related to tiny homes and that.
The accessories. They did adopt a rule, Taylor, about the accessory dwelling units.
Yeah, the ADU passed, but the modular home one, I think maybe is what you're talking about, Travis?
Maybe.
That one got put for indefinite study, so it didn't pass. It got sent to a committee for study for the next session. I don't have any update other than that.
Okay, no major changes to...
The ETJ was the biggest one. The ADU had some pretty good stuff in there, but our consultants already have it, and they're writing it into our 109 right now. So that way it should be hopefully good to go by August, whenever it goes into effect. That was really the big one that changed in terms of our zoning and development code.
Yeah, ETJ's extraterritorial jurisdiction. She's
Sorry.
used to using buzzwords in
Speak his
business,
letters.
right? Yeah. Okay, well, I think we can adjourn then. We'll see you next week. Thank you.
Thank you.